In CELTESTPIP Speaking Task 8, they show us a picture of something strange, and we need to describe it to a person on a phone call, and the person cannot see it. And most of the test takers make two mistakes. They start with the small details and they try to describe everything, but 60 seconds is not enough for that. So today I'm going to teach you a technique to answer CELTESTPIP Speaking Task 8. And this technique starts with wide shot, then to close up. And I'm going to teach you how to write notes to answer it easier. As you know, you have only 30 seconds to write notes, and many students go and write notes, but today I'm going to teach you what to write and how to use it. And I suggest you stay until the end. We are going to answer a real question and wait until the end, because I'm going to teach you one sentence that is going to increase your band a lot, maybe from 9 to 12. First, let's listen to a real answer. We'll see a sample question from CELTESTPIP Speaking Bank of Questions, which has lots of samples you can practice there. I've chosen one of them to teach in this lesson. Let's see and answer to that sample question together. This is a real question from the CELTESTPIP question bank. It says, you're walking through a community garden and you discover an old piano that has been creatively transformed into a colorful planter. Call your friend Alex, who has been looking for unique decorating ideas for his backyard. Describe in detail what a piano planter looks like and asking if you would like to try creating something similar. And look at this. This is my note that I only wrote it in 30 seconds of preparation. Look, it is very short. Now listen to the answer that comes from these few words. Just imagine I'm calling. Hey Alex, it's me. I'm in the community garden on the corner, and I think I found the decorating idea you've been looking for. It's an old upright piano, and somebody has painted the whole thing like the inside of an aquarium and turned it into a giant plant pot. Along the top, where the lid is, there are farms growing straight out of it. Just below that, the keys are still there, and small green plants are coming up between the black and white keys. The front panel underneath is painted with orange fish and pink coral. And there's a starfish near the corner. And hanging on the right side, there's a little wooden sign that says, Play me a garden. Do you want to try making one for your backyard? Let me know. Touch soon. That was under 60 seconds, and all of these words came from those small notes that I showed you. So now let's see how we prepare those 60 seconds and what words we use, how to learn and use them, and how to write a note that is going to be helpful in only 60 seconds of speaking. You know, on test day, they give us a pen and paper. First, many of the students don't know it. And second, many of them don't even use them. They just look at the picture, they just try to imagine what the answer is going to be and just start answering when the timer starts. But as I say to all my students, start with writing the note. You have 30 seconds. You can write enough words that help you when you are stating the answer. So what should we write in our notes? Only 3 short sentences. Let's see what they are. Line 1. Is there a question inside the task? Yes or no? For writing this line, read the task 2 times and look at the last sentence, because the second instruction is almost always there. In our task, it said, ask him if he would like to try something similar. So, yes. And I write 2 small words to remember it. Line 2 is our wide shot. Here we ask one question. What does the whole thing look like? Not the small parts, the whole thing. For our picture, a piano painted like an aquarium. So, 3 or 4 words, it will be our second sentence in our note. And here's my rule for you. Never start with describing. Try to find something similar to the image and compare it to that. So you find something real and compare the strange picture to the back. And in line 3, we write the parts you want to describe. And we give a number to each one. Only nouns, no sentences. And in the order we will say them. From the top to bottom or from the left to right. We choose one direction and vulgates. Writing one full sentence in your notes takes about 8 seconds, and you only have 30 seconds. So the first thing you should practice in CELPIP speaking is how to write keywords as your note. Small words that are going to be helpful when you are speaking. And why do you think we are writing numbers next to our notes? Because after 40 seconds of speaking, we sometimes forget what we already said and what we need to say next. If you write numbers, you just look at the numbers and tick them in our mind. So I said this one, and we go in the order. Before we continue, I had a question for you. What was the strangest picture you saw in CELPIP Speaking Task 8? Write in the comments so maybe we'll laugh about it or maybe we can find some answers for that. Well, after writing the notes, we have a plan. But we need some words. What should I say when I'm answering CELPIP Speaking Task 8? What vocabulary should I know? This is the next part. The vocabulary we use in CELPIP Task 8 and speaking are somehow groups of words, and I teach you group by group so you can memorize them and use them in your answers. Let's go to the first group. The first group I can say is the most important one in this video. These are position words. They tell the listener where something is. For example, on top of, underneath, inside, halfway off, near the front. But now look at these five because these five really change our answer. These are the five ones. And just above that, right next to it, on the other side, underneath all of that, and the last one that sits on. These five ones change your speaking answer from a list to a connecting the speech. If you review them, you can see they are good for connecting, describing what is in the image. For example, you describe one element and then say right next to it. It's somehow connecting your sentences. Now let's go to the group 2 of the words. The second group is small, but it changes the score. For example, for our question, if I say plants, I am only giving the name. But if I say small green plants coming up between the black and white keys, now I'm describing. You see, I'm describing the same object, but with more detail, so it's going to score higher. So we need some words for shape, for material, and for condition. You can see them on the screen. You can take a screenshot of them. And the third group is for the time that we are all a bit worried when we are answering. The words that can be used when we don't know what to say. Let's see what they are. CELPIP itself tells us what to do here. And it is very simple. We make the word from easy words. For example, we say what it looks like and what it does. For example, if I don't know the word fern, I will say a green plant with long leaves. Everybody will understand its description, so I don't need to know the word fur. And when we are not sure, we use careful words, the simple ones that send a message. I have a video about vocabulary in CELPIP. I will put the link, and I suggest you watch it to know what vocabulary, what kind of vocabulary you should remember and memorize for both writing and speaking. Well, we now have our plan and we have the words. Let's put them all together in 60 seconds. If you remember, I said my technique for speaking task 8 is wide shut, then close up. What does it mean? Think about the camera. It first has a wide shot, it shows everything, then has a close up, showing the details. So in our answer, we'll start with a long shot, saying what is generally in the picture, only in one sentence, then we zoom in and close up and start describing the details. And there's an evidence behind this technique. CELPIP has a sample task 8 question, which got 12. And the examiner describes it because the tester has described a bigger picture and then described the objects and where they are next to each other. So here's our 60 seconds. 8 seconds to pick up the phone with the name of the person we are calling and why we are calling. 10 seconds for the wide shot, 30 seconds for the close-ups, and everyone starts with a position word. Next to that, 7 seconds for the question, but only if the task has one question, and 5 seconds to finish the call. Now, listen again to the answer I showed in the beginning of the video. Let's review what words are used. Along the top, just below that, underneath, hanging on the right side. You see, there are position words every time. That is why Alex can see the piano in his head. Well, now you know everything that's needed for answering CELPIP Speaking Task 8. I suggest you go to CELTESTPIP.com. If you haven't registered, you can just register and answer to the sample free question available in Speaking Task 8. And if you register and upgrade your account, you have access to many questions available in speaking, writing, listening, and reading. I think it's now a good time to start practicing. But just wait a bit more. I have some more tips for you. Before we finish, I want to show you 3 mistakes that are very common among my students and many samples that I have seen. Number 1, when we are nervous, we add more and more detail. We want to talk about more things in the image. But when we look at the sample answers in different sources, we see that extra detail is going to cost you some marks. The second mistake is telling the story. Some students start telling some story. It happened, I was doing this, I was doing that. No, task 8 is happening right now. And the examiner doesn't need a story. They just need description. So you just need to describe what is in the image, not what you have been doing or what you are going to do and what was the story here. And number three is something that you might have seen in other sources or somebody has taught you is that task 8 needs calling for help, calling the person and telling them to come somehow help you or come to you. But if you look at the sample questions, you see that there's no calling for help there. And there's no need to tell your address or tell them to come to you. You are just describing a strange image. This video is part of our free course on CELPIP speaking. And on CELTESTPIP, we have free courses for writing, speaking, listening, reading, vocabulary, and everything you need to nail your needed score for CELTIP. If you like the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to turn on the notification for the channel so you don't miss our next lessons. As I always say, never stop practicing. See you in the next video.